Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video I wanted to answer a few burning questions surrounding breachstones. First up, how rare are flawless breachstones from the new hidden invitation drop pool? Second up, how good are the newly buffed breachstone rewards in 3.16? So if you guys didn't know, the flawless breachstones are a new type of breachstone that have been added to the game as Uber content. They drop the coveted Ulnatol's Vow Amulet, which is worth 100 exalts right now, and I wanted to understand how rare these stones are and how you acquire them, and kind of like, is it profitable to farm them, basically. So that's question number one. And then the next thing, if you guys didn't know, is that they added new reward types to all breachstones. So you can see here, rare monsters drop an additional reward type, which is pretty interesting. It's a newly kind of added modifier. And I wanted to investigate, okay, what are the rewards? How common is it to get each of the different ones? And is this actually impactful for the purpose of farming breachstones? Okay, so let's dive straight into it. We're going to answer those two questions first, and then we're going to get into the profitability of farming the hidden. Okay, so in total, the test was farming 20 hidden invitations. That's 80 breachstones. I ran basic breachstones, so basic Zoth, basic Tull, basic Ash, basic normal Tull. I ran 80 of those, which totals 20 hiddens, and the question was, how many flawless breachstones would I get? And which sort of rewards would I encounter? Let's get into it. Okay, so to kind of get the elephant out of the room, I got 5 flawless breachstones in total from 20 hiddens. I was rolling all of my hidden invitations to 75% plus quantity, and I got 5 total. Okay, so 20 is not a massive sample size. So I also did about 4 total hidden invitations as not part of this test. 1 for the start of the league, and then I also did 3 to kind of prep for this, just to kind of suss things out. And in those 4 that I did, I actually got an additional 2 breachstones, so that gives us 7 from 24. And then I asked my friend Firegrass if he'd done any of them, and he's done 8, and he got 2 flawless breachstones from his. So to kind of do some maths, we can kind of add that up. So it's 20 plus 4 plus 8. So that's 32 total hiddens. And we got 5 plus 2 plus 2, 9. Okay, so 9 divided by 32, that's a 28% chance to drop. Obviously, we don't know exactly how much quantity was on Firegrass's, but in mine, it was all 75% plus quantity, and I can vouch for that myself. So 9 total flawless breachstones. I'd probably wager, just based off, maths and laws of like all of the stuff like that, it's probably somewhere between the range of 20 to 30%. Obviously it could be 20 to 35. We don't know. We need a much bigger sample size. But right now, I think this is kind of what we've got to work with here. And I think it's fair to say that it's about 1 in 5 or 1 in 4, maybe a bit higher than that, but I'd probably go with 1 in 4. Okay, so that's pretty damn good. They're not too rare, and you can reliably get them from farming the hidden. Pretty awesome. Of course, I only got Esh and Tull, but the other 2 breachstones I got in my other runs were 2 Zoths, and then Firegrass got 1 Ulnatull and 1 Zoth. So it's fair to say that maybe Ulnatull's a bit rarer, and then the others, we've obviously kind of accounted for quite a few of them as well, but it's, pretty interesting nonetheless. Could be explaining why Ulnatull is just quite a little bit more expensive. Now, to kind of give you guys some insider info on why these flawless breachstones are just so good and why they're so expensive and why so many people want them, is that they dropped the new Ulnatull's Vow Amulet, which costs 100 exalts. But in addition to that, they also guarantee drop a unique, and they also guarantee drop a blessing. But in addition to that, the unique it drops is also instantly upgraded with a blessing. So you're essentially dropping 2 blessings and a unique. And then in addition to that, they also gain 2 additional reward types instead of 1 additional reward type. They get a ton more XP, ton more quantity and rarity, and all sorts of stuff like that. And then they're also item level 84. which is pretty damn good as well. So there's definitely quite a lot going for these flawless breachstones, and they definitely demand quite a high price. So they're going to be pretty stable, I imagine, for the most of the league. And they also drop an insane chase item, which everyone wants to seem to get their hands on, and which has been quoted by a lot of people as being as good as a mirror tier amulet. So it's pretty interesting. So these things are pretty good to farm, and they're definitely going to sustain quite a high price for the foreseeable future. Okay, so we've established that that the flawless breachstones have about a 25% drop rate based on what we know right now. Pretty damn good. Okay. Let's move on to the second question we had then. What about those new reward types? They seem pretty important. What kind of things can we expect from those? Well, as I mentioned, I ran 20 full rotations. That's 80 breachstones in total. And I did 3 documented tests before I started the experiment. And then I also did the one which I did at the start of the league, but I didn't record that. So we have a total of 92 breachstones worth of information on the reward types from basic breachstones here. So there's 6 different types of rewards that you can get. You can get maps at 50% chance for a map per rare. You can get currency, that's 100% chance for a basic currency off a rare. You can get 50% chance at a unique, it's a random unique. You get 50% chance at a scarab off a rare, 100% chance at a divination card, and 50% chance at a map fragment. Okay, so there's 6 rewards in total. Maybe there's a few more of them, I'm not sure, but I only tested the basic breachstones, so we'll have to leave that to somebody else. But nonetheless, let's get into it. Okay, so you can see the kind of percentages and the occurrence rate of the things that I was encountering here on the right. And it seems that they're all fairly similarly weighted. I think if you expand this over like 1,000 breachstones, you'd see that they're all probably identical. But in my limited sample size of around about 100 here, you can see that there's a little bit of a bias towards basic currency, which is interesting. All the rest of them seem to be reasonably similar. So I would probably wager that it's about a 1 in 6 to get any of them, which is pretty interesting. Okay, so you got what, like a 1 in 6 at getting scarabs and a 1 in 6 at getting maps. Both of those rewards are very good. And then when you combine that with going like for a flawless breachstone, you got like a 1 in 3 or something like that to get scarabs on average, which would be pretty damn good. So overall, these do add quite a lot of rewards. So how much rewards is the question? Well, on average, I was getting anywhere between 10 to 20 rares in my breachstones. I calculated this by actually, picking up the divination cards because they've got a 100% chance to drop from every single rare. And I did this a few times, and I pretty much guaranteed like there's about a 10 to 20 with basic breachstones, but keep in mind, when you go up to charged, enriched, pure, and then obviously flawless, you get additional pack size, which is going to give you more rares and overall more rewards, which is pretty cool as well. So there could be some merit in expanding your kind of testing zone to kind of include those higher level breachstones as well. And they're more accessible than ever by applying blessings to your own breachstones, which is pretty cool. Okay, so that's kind of the rewards. So how good are these exactly? Well, the maps actually do respect your atlas. So what I decided to do, because I was doing basic breachstones, is take out all my watchstones in Valdo's Rest and favorite tower. So the reason I favorite tower is because everyone's buying these right now because they're all doing the MF tower strat. And these sell for about 4C each. Okay, so how many towers did I get? Well, I got quite a lot of towers. So in total, I got 51 towers from my 80 breachstones. The reason I didn't get more is because, some of the breachstones are all in the tool and they're level 75, so they don't drop them. But, in total, I got quite a bit of currency from that, just from unstocking those watchstones and getting the maps, which is pretty sweet. It's about 1.76 exalts if you sell them for 5C. Which is pretty sweet. Okay, what about the other ones? Okay, so currency, this one sucks. It's basically like a super duper watered down, it's basically like a glass of water watered down Nemesis 3, which I didn't really drop anything good from. Uniques, I dropped a Bisco's collar, but everything else was garbage. I think this one's pretty bad as well. Scarabs is obviously very, very good. If I give you guys a quick look at my scarab total here. Okay, so you're going to have to ignore the breach scarabs. I did get a few from it, but a lot of the breach scarabs, they drop from the hidden. If you guys didn't know, you get about 2 to 3 breachstone, 2 to 3 scarabs from the hidden of breach variety. They can be gilded, polished, or rusted. But the rest of the scarabs are all from the rewards. So, let's just call it 3.5 exalts of scarabs. Maybe less than that, actually. Let's just call it 3 exalts of scarabs. Actually, hell, let's call it 2.5 exalts of scarabs because there's a lot of good breach scarabs in here. 2.5 exalts worth of scarabs, which is pretty good just from the breach stones, which you can sell. You can probably get some better prices if you sell them in bulk, which is pretty awesome as well. So definitely a lot to be impressed by there, which I'm pretty happy with. Okay. Next up, let's take a quick look at the other ones here. So divination cards, these kind of suck as well. It's basically like opening stacked decks. So is it good to open like 13 stacked decks per map? Like 13 or 15 or somewhere in that ballpark. It's okay. I feel like it's pretty heavily weighted against you though. The only good divination card I got was the Patient, which is neither here nor there. In terms of the fragments though, I got a bunch of sacrificial fragments. The sacrificial fragments are like okay, I guess. I got a ton of those. Nothing to write home about though, so overall, the main ones are going to be the maps and the scarabs. Okay, so let's talk about these rewards. So if you tiered up the breach stones, let's say you're doing pure breach stones. Well, there is some interesting possibilities that could go on here. So for starters, you're going to get a ton better maps. So you're going to get like a Tropical Islands, T14 Tropical Islands. You can get cores. You can get, all the T16s you want. Because it respects your favorite atlas, you can full atlas, and it's just going to be really, really good. And you get tons of currency from the maps you're going to be dropping. So that's going to be way, way better. The basic currency is not going to change. The only thing that's going to get better there is you're going to drop some Awakened Sextants. Okay, that's a little bit more currency, but it's still not that great. Uniques, same old, not going to be great. The Scarabs don't seem to be weighted towards, getting gilded or anything like that. If you actually take a look, I did drop a ton of gilded Scarabs, even in the lower tier ones, ton of polished. If you guys didn't know, the general rule of thumb with Scarabs is it's about 65% chance to get a rusted Scarab when you're kind of talking average rewards like incubators or stuff like that. It's about a 25% chance to get a polished, and it's about a 10% chance to get a gilded. And this seems to be in line with that general kind of reward schema. So overall, I would say that, it's not going to be any more rewarding to do pure stones for Scarabs. Divination card, same story. It's going to be the same old. Now, fragments is where it gets interesting. So it is possible that the map fragments might start to drop Uber Theory fragments, Shaper fragments, and Elder fragments. This is something that happens in Blighted maps, in Blight in general, from incubators. It does drop these sort of things, so you could start to get a bit of extra juice from doing fragments. So there might be, if you're taking into account the fragments and the maps, some reasons to do pure stones. Especially on top of that, you get some extra pack size, you get the guaranteed blessing and unique, maybe there's some reasons there to do that. The real value is going to come in when you're doing XP carries or XP rotors, and that's going to be where you're going to be getting the most of the juice from doing the higher level stones. Other than that, you're probably going to want to do the lower level stones for the most profit, and that's kind of what I did here. Okay, so that's kind of going to be all the new stuff, guys. So 25% chance-ish to get a flawless, and then the new rewards are pretty good for Scarabs and maps, and the rest of the things are kind of like okay. But you're definitely going to be getting some extra juice, and when you hit Scarabs, it's pretty damn nice. Okay, so let's talk about actually farming the hidden. So, of course, after this video, the prices of breach stones will probably go up and the value of stuff will go down. But overall, if you're watching this video from 2 weeks from now, you're probably going to be cashing in. But let's get into the actual nitty-gritty of it and the money side of things. So, Excellence likes to be a bit finicky. It likes to be all over the place with the actual price of things, but it's fair to say that we'll just go with the number that it's spitting out here, 23.48 exalts. Okay. So let's bring up the old calculation here. So in total, I spent about 13.46 exalts on my actual breach stones here. So I got 80 breach stones and 20 hidden invitations for about 13.5 exalts. I definitely overpaid at the time of this video to get bulk. So I paid 50C per Ulnator, 15C for all of the other small breach stones, and then 15C for the hidden. I wanted to buy like 10 at a time. That's why it's more expensive. But overall, these prices, I still made a very, very healthy amount of money. And we'll get into that in a second here. Okay, so 20 runs, and we had 12 hiddens that I discounted myself because I dropped them in the maps. And, okay, so I dropped them, so I don't need to buy them. That makes sense there. So let's get into the actual inputs and outputs, because that's what matters here. So inputs, obviously the 13.5 exalts worth of breach stones and the hidden. Super simple. You can bulk buy them. Not going to take you long to buy the materials. What are our outputs? Okay, so we got some outputs of raw currency here. Super duper simple. It's nothing hard to sell. Okay, maybe you don't want to sell like instilling orbs. Take them out. It's not going to be worth much. We got scarabs here. The more of them you do, the more scarabs you accumulate, the higher bulk you have, the easier they'll be to sell, and then the faster they'll be to sell. Looks like someone wants my Maven's Ritz here already. We got some tower maps. These sell in bulk instantly. We got some sack frags. I just recommend using these yourself, but you can sell them in bulk as well for a little bit of money. We did get one valuable unique here, and by valuable I mean 10C. What happened to this shield, man? Which we can sell. We got 5 the escape, which is 25C there. That's the 7 league steps. Okay, you can sell that. And we got 1 the patient, as well as a Bisco's collar, and then we got a ton of blessings. So the trick with the blessings, in my opinion, is to not sell them in stacks. You can actually make more money than what they are for the stack by actually Okay, look, see, this is what I mean. No one's selling them in bulk. You can make more money from them just by upgrading your own breach stones and then selling those breach stones. So what I mean by that is basically like, let's say I had an Esh stone, bang, bang, bang. Okay, now I have a pure Esh stone, and that's worth way more than the blessing, which is super good. So an Esh stone is around about 13C if you buy one, 15C if you buy like bulk, and then I just used 30C worth of blessings, and you can see here that I actually net. It looks like I net about like tons more money, which is really, really good. You should definitely be using them yourself. Just upgrade a bunch of breach stones. You're gonna make way more money that way, and it's gonna be super duper good. And you can sell the breach stones, and then GG. So those are really, really liquid, really, really fast to get rid of. It's a really super nice output to have. We did get one invitation here. Okay, it's not that hard to sell that one either. Okay, so next up we have all the loot from the hidden. So this is the stuff which is probably going to be a little bit slower to sell. So you have a bunch of Maven's Writs. I mean, these sell in bulk as well. I mean, you just saw some guy PM me for 7 of them. 10 of them. They sell really quick, which is super duper nice to Maven farmers. They just want tons of them. They just farm Maven all day. That's fine. Orbs of Unmaking also sell very, very quickly. They're worth quite a lot of money, actually. So those are pretty sweet. Got some more blessings, business as usual, just use them on some stones. The flawless breach stones sell pretty slowly, in fact, because I feel like a lot of people, we don't know the drop chance of the Ulnar Tool amulet, which is obviously the 100x amulet, and these primarily are going to sell all at once to what the XP rotor guys, the guys who basically get a full party, and then everyone pays them money, they get XP, and they get all the drops. So these are probably going to sell pretty slowly, but when they do sell, they'll probably all sell at once, which is pretty sweet. We got some trash uniques in here, which was nothing. We got a Delirium Orb. We got 5 Delirium Orb cards because they're interested from 20 invitations of Disdain. That's where this div card drops from. And we got a ton of like Breach Scarabs, which will sell instantly. And then all these Watchstones. Okay, so these Watchstones are actually not counted in Exilence. For some reason, it can't calculate them. So these Watchstones, I actually calculated by hand. The only ones I would consider selling personally are the Platinum ones. Okay, so the platinum ones, they do sell for quite a bit of currency, and we have about 2.3 exalts worth of platinum watchstones here. You can see here the prices of them, the ones that I got here. So maybe I got a bit lucky. I got a ton of Glenic platinums, okay? Maybe not everyone gets a ton of Glenics, so you can leave that out if you want. In that case, I made about 10 exalts if you leave out the platinum Glenics and all the other watchstones here. If you do include the watchstones here, though, I did make about 12.5 exalts. I'd say 12.5 exalts after everything gets said and done. Okay, 12.5 exalts, which is pretty reasonable. So over 20 invitations that I did. Okay, so what's 12.5 divided by 20? So I was making about 0.625 exalts per hidden that I did on average, assuming that you get the average amount of breach stones and all sorts of stuff like that. Okay, so how much is that per hour? If you're trying to farm this for currency and you're trying to figure out the actual prices and or how much you're going to make, well, it's exactly 2 minutes to do a breach stone. The actual opening of it and closing of it when you get to the gate is 2 minutes. So as long as you can, not die and not have to portal out or anything like that, you're going to be able to run a full rotation of the hidden, assuming you can do the invitation pretty easily in 2 minutes, which should be doable by most really good builds. You can do a full rotation in 10 minutes, meaning you can do 6 invitations per hour. If you're not, if you're not trading at anything, and if you're going pretty quick and you're not dying and all sorts of stuff like that, if you're fully prepped. Okay, so 6 invitations per hour. So how long would it take to actually run all these invitations? So 20 divided by 6, it would take about 3... How much is that? 3.3. Okay, how many minutes is that? 200 minutes. 200 minutes is how long it would take, which is like, let's just call it 3.5 hours. So 3.5 hours. How much exalts do we have again? We had, what was it? It was like 12.5 exalts that we got. So 3.5 hours, 12.5 divided by 3.5. What's that? So 3.5 exalts, 3.6 exalts an hour. Which, is that insane? Not actually that insane. I mean, it's okay. Depends on your RNG, of course, but it's not too bad. So for a lot of people, bossing, that's going to be pretty reasonable overall. But it's obviously not Nemesis 3, but it's certainly not Alkengo Harbinger maps either, which is pretty good. Okay, so obviously this is an okay strategy. I wouldn't pay any more for the Breachstones than this, unless Maven's Writs go up, or unless the Flawless Breachstones go up. I think that this is a pretty fair price for things. And is this strategy really that competitive? It's kind of like okay, but I think the valuable lesson here is actually the rarity of the Flawless Breachstones. That is the kind of lesson here. And if you guys actually do decide to run any of your own, definitely send me your data on Discord. How many Flawless Breachstones you get. A quick tip for you guys is always to run your invitations at least at 74% quantity or higher, because that is around the break point in which you go from getting 4 Crescent Splinters to 5. And obviously the more quantity you get, the higher chance of a Flawless Breachstone, which sells for quite a lot of money as well. So overall, that's going to be the video, guys. Would I recommend farming the hidden? I think there's probably better things that you can farm, but if you don't have any other things better to do and you don't mind Breachstone farming, it could be okay. It's pretty easy to buy and sell everything involved. The inputs and outputs are super simple. There's no gross stuff to sell, which is super duper nice. And overall, I think it's a pretty good strat. And I can definitely see it being a mainstay in future, similar to Guardian farming or Maven farming, because you do provide a whole lot of value to the economy. You got Watchstones, Maven's Writs, Flawless Breachstones, Scarabs. You know, it's pretty damn good. So with all that said, guys, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. And if you do run some of these yourself, make sure you send me your data so we can get a good idea of how rare these things are. Until next time, guys, cheers.